with the hospital doing such a huge expansion and Jenny-O, also we are kind of a central hub between Alec and St. Cloud, that I think if we had more market rate housing, we would bring, you know, the people that are the higher paying jobs for this new hospital and stuff like that. I mean, we're gonna have more doctors and nurses and things like that. I think a good market rate housing would be great.
Okay, Saban?
I think we have sufficient homes in Melrose. We need to explore maintaining them a little bit better. I guess policing, like I was saying before, policing ordinances better. Seeing if that doesn't help the housing value go up. If anything, I'd like to see possibly some smaller apartment buildings go up for, you got a lot of low income people in Melrose already that need homes, obviously with the fire also. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. The school board candidates, and we'll start with Chris first. The question is, or two questions. What would you like to see at the school that we do not have? And what do we have that could be cut? Chris?
I guess I would like to see continued expansion of technology. As technology has become so prevalent in our lives, I believe we need to provide more cutting-edge technology based on and/or integrated courses. I believe we're financially sound at this point. We have recommended reserves that are provided by the auditors. So with this in mind, I don't feel that we need to cut anything.
Thank you. Lee?
That's pretty much my answer. Technology will continue to always be a need, and the professional development that goes with it. And because of the healthy balance we have, I don't think we need to make any cuts. We don't have any frivolous programs, so I agree with Chris.
Sean, please.
A couple things that I would like to add. One of them would be something that we're currently working on, would be secured entrances in the elementary school and in the senior high area. We're going to have people be able to come in and go right into the office and check in. Right now, in the elementary school, if you walk in, you can literally walk in and go across where the lunchroom is and just start going down the halls without checking in. Obviously, safety is a big concern at our schools these days, so that's one thing I would like to see. Again, we're in the process of getting that done to secure those entrances. And the next thing that I've talked about for a couple of years, which our school does not have anymore, and it's very frustrating for me to come from a business and finance background. We have no business curriculum at our school right now. There's currently no accounting classes, no sales classes, no business management classes, no personal finance classes. We teach our kids to do a whole lot of things. One simple thing is to work a checkbook. Some kids can do it. Some leave high school, go to college, and don't know how to do that. Something simple as that. We had it back when I went to school. I thought it was invaluable when I went to school, and I would like to see that somehow moving forward, if I'm on the board or if I'm not on the board, to see that get re-implemented in our school. I agree with Lee and Chris. Right now, I don't see anything that I would like to cut.
Okay. Dr. Heller, please.
A couple of things, most of these things have already been mentioned. Things that we are lacking, or maybe not completely lacking, but there are room for improvements would be, one would be the technology part. I think we have a technology plan. I think we do okay on technology, but that's an ever-changing landscape, and we've got to just keep moving with it. As part of technology, one small element that I think maybe we could add, that I would like to see added, and that I think would appeal to a certain number of kids, would be a robotics program. I think that would be a nice addition. And then, as far as facility-wise, and these are two things that there are plans to be addressed, and there are already plans that we've worked on over the past 2 years, and that's the secure entrances and maximizing our security. And then I think our science labs for middle and high school, and there is room for improvement there, and we have a plan a plan to address those needs. And I'm proud that we do have that.
Okay, and finally, Randy Duffner, please.
Like I put in the paper, child safety is always very important with me, especially being 24 years with Melrose Ambulance. The biggest thing I see when I pick up my second grader is the pickup spot. It's very cumbersome, and it's probably not an easy answer, but it seems like it's something that I think we need to kind of put as our future goal, is to have a better pickup and drop-off spot by the school. I think it's been mentioned by all four of the others is technology, but it's really not technology for today, but technology for the future. Like I pushed before, is making sure that what both schoolings and the workforce is looking for, and not just what we need today in the school. And then lastly, being from the business world, we do a lot of hiring. You know, I see a lot of struggles with some of our children, both out of high school and with some of our intern programs with the Department of Ag, but also out of college is really a struggle with communication, the ability to market themselves, the ability to interview solid. Something that I think a lot of the generations are struggling, this newer generation is struggling a bit more. Personal finance, like Mr. Schott alluded to, like I told you earlier, I talked to this friend of mine at the U, my former friend, and he had addressed the fact that time management is really a struggle with the kids along with the personal finance. And then lastly is just for them to be their own advocates for the future, and for mom and dad to kind of let go and let the kid have their independence. So somehow finding a way to instill that in the school today about the kids gaining their own independence. As far as cutting like the other four, I don't have anything to cut right now.
Okay, thank you. All right, Savan and Justin, how can the city of Melrose embrace diversity? Savan.
I think we could embrace diversity a little bit more. I recently found out I was going to propose possibly a event at the park for Cinco de Mayo that would be alcohol-free and family-oriented. I understand they already do something similar to that, but it does not seem to be alcohol-free and does not seem to be an event that you necessarily want to bring your children to. So I'd like to work more with Alfred Road, maybe Martinez Meats, and see if maybe they could do some sort of catering there, and possibly get a country music band. Small event that you can take your whole family to.
Okay, Justin, please.
I guess I kind of read that question a little bit wrong, but I was thinking, embrace diversity. I think Melrose itself has embraced diversity already. I mean, we've had diversity for the last 10 years for sure, if not longer. I feel the city has done very good with it. We see, a lot of businesses that are growing with them, and it's made our community great. So we just keep up the good work on it.
Great, thank you very much. All right, we're going to start with Randy on this one, please. If you were elected, what are your goals?
My first goal would be to continue the post-schooling education electives that are offered in the school. I think that's a huge benefit. It's both a financial relief for our youth going into post-secondary schooling, but it's also a little bit of an entitlement to continue with their schooling. Second thing is to build upon the ESL. As some of you guys may know, my wife teaches over at the Albany School, and the Albany, I guess according to what Hallie had said, Melrose has looked at it as a very strong ESL program where we have other schools that actually come. I think when I talked to Mr. Rich a couple weeks ago, he actually had a group of Mount Prairie that were coming in to check out our ESL program, which is really a feather in a hat, but it's something that we don't want to stop. We want to continue to grow into the future. And then the last thing is the challenge in the administration to work with community leaders and business owners to form a stronger working relationship. That is something I think we're lacking a little bit, is just for the administration and working with community leaders and just to get a better feel for what the community's feeling. Thank you.
Pat Hillard, please.
goals go, I think, you know, the goals of the school board need to be, in a sense, the goals of the school district, which is, you know, to try to meet every student's academic needs, and to have our students leave here as intelligent, responsible members of our community, or just young people that we've helped them along, and done everything that we can to have them reach their potential. As a school board, we need to support our staff. We need to make this an appealing place for people that come work. It needs to be an appealing place for the students to come learn, but we want it to be a place where people want to come, that people know that we are educating our children well, and that we are a place where we can empower our teachers to teach their students, and having a healthy board and healthy administrative staff and healthy relationships with our teachers and our paras. I think the board really that's their goal, and that's what we have. That's what we're called to do.
Pat Shop?
As Pat alluded to, the board sets goals each year for ourselves and what we want to accomplish and help out with our staff and students throughout the year, anywhere from technology to testing to a variety of things. One of my favorite things that we do, it's number one on our goal list, is that we try to look at the successes of our students and our staff, and during our board meetings on a monthly basis, maybe it's every other month or whatever, we've had the German class in, we've had science class in, we had a gal that went to state and speech, and she came in and gave the speech that she did at state. She gave it to us as the board. And for me, that's really neat to be able to see the good things that are happening in our school. Sometimes you hear about the negative stuff, but I like to look at the successes we have and kind of put that out there that, you know what, we just don't sit in a room and make stuff up and pass stuff just to pass it. We're really concerned about the successes and things that go on with our kids, and like to have them in as guests and perform for us and show us the good things that they're doing. So that's one thing I would like to continue to do on our list of goals. I touched on it earlier. One of my other goals would like to somehow along the way get our business curriculum back into our school with the different classes that I mentioned earlier. And on a personal note, I mentioned it at our last meeting as we were adjourning the meeting at 10:15 at night, that I want to put time limits on our meetings to 2 hours. I don't think I got any disagreements with anybody. So that would be just a small goal. The rest would be just to continue the goals that we set forth as a board and implement them as best we can.
Thank you. Lee, please?
I guess my main goal would be to make sure the staff and students have the tools they need to be successful. If there are issues that come up, I would want to make sure I have all the information I need to make an informed decision and listen to the community and what their needs are.
Thank you. Chris?
A goal of mine would be just to continue to work with the administration to help provide the best education we can for the students of the Melrose area in a financially responsible manner.
Okay, thank you. All right, back to the other two candidates for City Council, Justin and Saban. How can the city increase community involvement in its events, facilities, and programs? Justin Freeland.
I think social media is huge on this. If, on the city's website, if they need help with any of the events or anything they have going on. I know one thing is that I think is huge is if you have somebody going out and trying to almost recruit people, I mean, go ask them, hey, I think you'd be great help to go run the burger stand or whatever it is, I mean, you know a lot of people, I think you'd have fun and get more people involved that way. I guess on a personal note, back when, I've worked for a telephone company for 10 years, the first 5 years when it was Melrose Telephone, they used to do a community service deal where you could work it up to 10 hours or whatever, and they would give you some, half of that they would give you in PTO. So, but we would work all these events in Kimball, Eden Valley, parades, walk the parades, run food stands and stuff like that. I know I've been trying to get Arvik now to let us do that, but it's a little bit harder. I mean, they're way bigger. They're not a 70 employee company. They employ 100 people. So it's a little bit harder for them to do that because they're so spread out in Minnesota. But yeah, that's, I think, just the biggest thing is I think if you go ask somebody face to face, we would love to have you come work this event or come help us out. I think sometimes you probably gain a couple people, and if they know that they're having fun or, you know, having fun doing this, that you probably help a little more in the future.
Okay, thank you. And then Savan.
I think working as a city council to make conversation in general with younger people and hearing their ideas on events like Riverfest and working directly with high school seniors to have them participate more in actually planning the events. That would be my idea.
Any volunteers from the back? No. I'm giving you that. Thank you so much for being here. All right, next question, starting with Chris. What are the strengths of the district, and how would the district build upon them? Chris Winter, please.
One of our strengths would be that we have great teachers who have built a great curriculum. The district is always looking for ways to be sure all of the needs of the students are met so everyone gets a great education. The district also works to look for ways to enhance our curriculum of the senior high to help get the students ready for the next step after graduation. We need to continue to expand the curriculum to make sure we are keeping up with the needs of the students to be competitive in the working world.
Okay, Lee?
I think we have two major strengths. One of them is the district is very sound financially, and we have a highly qualified staff. With a fund balance of over $3.4 million, this district is able to meet the needs of students and staff by providing them what they need in curriculum or staff development. And I think they need to continue to do that, both of those things. And we've talked about those same things many times, the technology and the staff development. So I think they need to continue to do that.
Pat Schott, please.
I think our biggest strength here is our staff. I've been able, the last 4 years, not to be at school as much as I like, I have another job, but just the times I'm at school, at events, being able to go to conferences for our kids, our daughters in 7th grade, our sons in 4th grade, so I've had at least 7 years of meeting the teachers and getting into the class with them and sitting down, and each time I come away from a meeting with these teachers, I'm more impressed. There's not one time I left and we have, like I said, we have a really good staff. We need to keep our staff here, and so that they can be here long term and not feel like they need to go somewhere else. I think to build upon that, I think we have a lot of in-service days. I think we need to do continued education, seminars, training for our staff to keep them up to date, but at the same time, follow us and not inundate them with training days over and over and over. But I think it's obviously a good thing to have that. The other thing Lee touched on, we're very strong financially, $3+ million in our general fund, which is, we need, they'd like to see at least 3 months of running expenses in your general fund, which we definitely need that. Recently, we were given 2 ratings for our school, an A+ by Standard & Poor's and a AA+ by its Minnesota Credit Enhancement Group, which are the 2 highest grades you can get for a school in the state of Minnesota. And that's kudos to, I think, the board making sound decisions, not just this board, but previous boards that have done so financially. Mr. Rich, our superintendent, is very good financially with our school and has done a great job. And I think to build on that, we just need to keep making good, sound decisions that whenever we make a decision, I won't speak for anybody else, but for me, the bottom line, the 2 things. Is it good for our kids? Is it good for our taxpayers? Because we need to keep good finances at our school and make sure that we keep those 2 things in order. Now, thank you.
Dr. Heller?
I see many of the same strengths as others have mentioned. You know, our staff, our kids, the families of our kids, the community support that our school receives. I think those are all huge strengths. I think one unique strength that we touched on earlier was our diversity, and I really think it is a strength. I think it's something. It's a challenge for us, but it's something that makes us different. It's something that makes us that is a strength of our district, and it's and if we do that, if we meet the needs of our diverse population, not just minority population, but the whole population, if we do that well, then that distinguishes us from other school districts. How we use that, it is an academic challenge. It's something that that we have to work to make sure that we are meeting those students' needs. And I think in doing so, that brings up the issues of we need to be really careful with our class size, especially in elementary school. And our diversity is one of the reasons that we need to worry about that or work on that. And then the other thing that is that co-curriculars are important to meeting the needs of our diverse population. And I'm really, that we've started a soccer program, we have an amazing wrestling program, an amazing meaning we have numbers, and that's really the most important part of judging whether an extracurricular is successful or not. And those are things that I'm excited on continuing to work on.
Brandon?
The unfortunate thing about going last is they take all your answers. But obviously, human resources is very good. I remember back in the 80s when I was going to school here, it's amazing turnaround. And I really appreciated my teachers years ago. I think Nancy's the only teacher in the crowd from years back, but it's really interesting. That's a positive. It's really interesting to watch now me playing the parent role, and I have kids in an elementary, middle school, and high school, and I've seen my kids all progress through the different schools and how much they look forward to schools. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that they're motivated, they're energetic, they want to go to school, and that's really kudos to a lot of the educators that my kids have had. It's going to parent-teacher conferences is really a positive experience. The second thing that Dr. Hiller had touched on is the diversity. Coming from a business world, a person doesn't realize how important diversity is because the world keeps getting smaller. We get more diverse across the nation that we live in, and by giving these kids an exposure early on in life, it's such a huge benefit. And that's something that I think will carry to them in the future. The better that we know that culture, where the culture comes from, is the better off the kids are going to be. But we have to prepare for it because we do have more cultures that are probably coming into town. So the quicker we prepare and create a sound system, the better we can be as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now, as best as I can tell from my script here, we are going to move forward with the questions from the audience that people have written. So I'll start with the first one that is geared for the school board candidates. What would you do as a board to ensure that District 740 teaching staff feels supported and encouraged to remain in the field of education? Whoever wants to start is fine.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll just go here real quick while Mr. Shaw writes his notes down. No, it's like the employees in my own world with the Department of Ag. We have to constantly motivate, encourage, empower, and we got to reward. The biggest thing is we have to show that they're appreciated. I do a lot of team building exercises. I think that's very beneficial because there's always a greater the sum is greater than the individual parts, like they always said about, and there's a lot of truth to that. The more that we can work as a team, as a group of educators, the more successful we become. So my role, if honored to be elected for the school board, I would encourage and probably push at times the administration to continue with both team building, encouragement, empowerment, and just for everybody to have their own diverse teaching style.
Okay, thank you. I forgot Karen, it's supposed to be 1 minute.
Oh, well, he was under a minute, so he's good.
Yes, 1 minute. Give or take, 10 seconds. All right, who else would like to respond to that, please? Still right. Dr. Hill?
Sure. Our teachers have an amazingly demanding job. I mean, when it comes to what the challenges they have, the pressure we put on them, the curriculum that we have, there's a lot of effort into that. But in the end, it comes down to teachers trying to translate those goals and that curriculum and adjust those for the 20 to 30 kids that they have in their classroom. And I think we need to acknowledge the great job that they do. We need to keep morale high, and that's something that the board can affect. You know, we need to be talking to our administrators and to our leaders that's important. We cannot just put more and more and more stress on the teachers and more expectations. That we need to make sure that we have a happy, satisfied staff. And we need to empower them when they are trying new strategies and stuff.
Thank you. Chris?
I guess I would just say would want to make sure that I'm approachable and listen to what they have to say, because they are in the system working and know what works and what doesn't work, and what they have to say is very, very valuable to the board.
Okay, thank you. Lee?
I guess I feel too that we need to be approachable, that teachers or any other staff there can come and talk to you, and that you will support them, that administration supports what they do and celebrates their successes. We're forever, like you said before, trying to teach to the test, that kind of thing. The teachers work really hard at it. They need to get a pat on the back and be told, we all need to be told very often that we're doing a good job. And they are. They're working very, very hard. And we've had wonderful successes, and I don't know if they've been given enough credit, and if the community knows how much work they have done and how successful they are.
Thank you. Pat?
I think, I go back, like I said, I think the staff is our strongest asset that we have. And we need to acknowledge the successes, like a couple have alluded to already, that our teachers have. It's a difficult job, and you know, I always thought, well, I want to be a coach, but I tell you what, I could never be a teacher. There's no way. So I respect the job they do all day long, because I could not do it. I think for me, a big thing, I've had some conversations over the last 4 years with teachers. As a board member, I would like to push our, it's pretty difficult to do this, but push our administration to make sure that every teacher and every staff in our school has a voice and feels like they're heard when they have an issue, that they can go to our administration, voice that issue, and not really feel sometimes like it's pushed aside, that nothing's gonna get done about it. And I think the last couple of years, there may have been some morale issues at our school, and I think that stems from some of that, where they feel they have this issue they want to deal with, but they just are kind of afraid to bring it up. And that would be one of my goals, to push our administration to make that, make them feel a little more approachable when our teaching staff has issues they want to bring up.
Okay, thank you. All right, this question, whoever the author is, I may need you to comment on, because I'm having a little hard time reading it. I'm going to try though. Why can't, I think the word is families, be taxed on house versus acreage value? Oh, okay, can you, all right, and school in the area, could you just tell me a little bit more about this question?
I live on a family farm, and when the referendum came out, we were told that the farmers were based on our acres. I have uncles who live in other school districts and they were not based off their acres, they were based off their house value. So why is our school district that way?
Okay. Does that make sense?
Anybody can chime in to help. I think it depends on what is being voted on. If it's a referendum, and this is state law, this isn't our determination, but if it's a referendum, such as the one in May, that's all property. That means it's ag property, it's household property, and it's industrial property too. If it's, and this has changed in the last few years because there aren't as many operating levies, which is another way that schools fund themselves. And that's an amount of money that we get per student in addition to what the state gives us that we can get from taxpayers. And an operating levy is something that is just on your house plus 1 acre, and that spares ag land. To do an operating levy, you cannot, for the most part, you cannot do like a capital, like what we call a capital expenditure, where you're actually building buildings and expanding the school, or architecturally doing work on the school. I do not believe you can fund that with an operating levy. When you're talking about funding that kind of thing, you can't, it doesn't spare any property. And I'm totally fine with being corrected on any of that.
Well, that was pretty good. They are totally separate, an operating levy and a building referendum. Unfortunately, our farmers and the ag land, they're unfairly taxed on the land they own. We tried to do as good a job as we could, board members, getting it out to the community, to talk to your local representatives, your legislatures. It's in a bill right now that is not passed at the legislature, that there's gonna be a possible, what's that?
It has passed, it's just to get signed.
Signed, sorry, it's signed, yeah. It needs to get signed by the governor, which will hopefully get up to a 40% tax relief for the farmers. And that would get things more in line, because obviously, my house in town, dollar-wise, isn't gonna get taxed as much as somebody that owns 500 acres of ag land. And it is completely unfair in a building referendum. And we knew that going in, and we were really hoping to get this signed before the referendum. It didn't take place. I don't think that's the only reason the referendum failed, but I think it had a lot to do with it. So it's an unfair tax, and we've done what we can to try to get it changed. Now it's in the governor's hands. That answer your question?
Yeah, I just find it weird that when our referendums are going to